Hello, Carol.
I know.
Welcome to the final episode of Refried Scenes.
Whoever will make me watch these movies now.
Make you watch these movies. You mean subjected to horror movie after horror movie. Welcome to the horror show. And some other things sprinkled in.
They're like the most easily remade movies.
You know what? I think you're not wrong there. It is a genre rife.
Cheap and easy.
Yeah, cheap and easy, man. Making for the low and then making like Paranormal Activity was made for like $38 and made like $400 million.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Blair Witch was made for I think like 20.
Yeah, it's popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
In this here show, man, you know what it is. We talk about originals and their remakes. That's right. And we decided to throw it out to the peoples, man, for our final episode.
Yeah, and overwhelmingly
went exactly how I knew it would go.
Yeah, I had a sneaking suspicion it would be either this one. I actually thought it'd be this one or The Italian Job. But apparently it was this one or The Thing, which was second.
Which, I mean, people fucking love that 82 thing.
Oh yeah,
so.
That's my favorite horror film, I think. Yeah. Definitely my favorite John Carpenter.
I watched it for the first time like 2 years ago, and I was like, "Oh man, I've been missing out." Yeah, it's a really
really good film.
Yeah, so I can understand why that came in second.
But yeah, Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11 is what we got.
Yes.
You picked a couple, I picked a couple, and this is one of the ones that I was like, I must get revenge for all those horror movies. Ocean's 11.
So you made me sit through a Rat Pack film.
Sit through a Rat Pack film. I'm sorry for it. Only slightly.
Only slightly.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1960, and boy, does it show.
Oh, yes. As about as 60s as you get.
Yeah. These kids are hepcat, man. They speak fast. They speak loud. They speak fast.
Hepcat. I haven't heard that word in I don't know how long.
They're cool beans, Daddy-O.
Right on, word. I dig it. No, that's more like 80s maybe. But yeah, set design looks very 60s.
Oh, yeah. And this is Las Vegas in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So, but our stars here are the Rat Pack. I mean, they're all here.
The Rat Pack and a couple of hangers-on.
That's right. And Policewoman and the Joker.
And you nip that cast in the bud just like that.
Yeah. Frank Sinatra, who plays our title character, Danny Ocean.
Danny Ocean.
He is the Ocean of Oceans 11. Dean Martin, Joey Bishop, who did he do anything besides Rat Pack films?
No. I mean, no. He's like, I'm just going to do my comedy, stay in my lane.
I will just hang on to Frank's coattails.
Hey, man made a career out of coattailing.
Yep. Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford. Yeah, the gang's all here.
The gang is all here. Not the only movie they do together, but this is, I would say, their most well-known movie that they did together, probably by far.
Yeah.
So. And then Angie Dickinson. Yeah.
Who's here for some reason. I don't understand why any of the women are in this film.
Right. Well, one in particular kind of gums up the works.
Yeah. One makes sense, and that's Peter Lawford's mom.
Oh, okay.
The rest of them, they're just there.
Well, no. The woman
she doesn't gum up the works.
She attempts to gum up the works. Yeah. I'll give
we'll get to that.
Yeah. And then Angie Dickinson, who they're like, well, fuck it, let's see what Angie's doing this weekend. Let's get her in for 2 scenes.
How old is she? She's like 19. Frank Sinatra's in his 70s or something.
So this is 60 on the dot, huh?
Yeah.
Angie Dickinson was born in 31, so she is 29 years old.
Wow. Okay, she looked very good for 29.
I mean, yeah, she's Angie Dickinson.
That's true. She looked good 15 years later in Policewoman.
Frank Sinatra, 45 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and he looked 70.
Well, I mean, that man's life is just
a point and just looked old.
Yeah. Like he was that era's Morgan Freeman who just looked old forever.
Forever. Dean Martin is the same way, I think.
I feel like they were just ageless up until a point, and then they just woke up that next day and that point hit, and they were just automatically 65 forever.
I think so.
Like Frank's head just got bigger as the years went on. Like his head is huge in 95.
It is. It's weird.
Yeah, just busting out of the tux. It's like a balloon on a toothpick. But we're here to talk about some Ocean.
That's right, some Ocean. So Danny Ocean gets his old army buddies together. I'm not sure how Peter Lawford entered the American Army.
It's weird because I was looking at Pete, and I guess he's like, Peter the person has like dual citizenship. Okay. But yes, this character, maybe they ran joint missions with the British back
I'm assuming so. He also seems significantly younger than everybody else.
That's true. Yeah, maybe he was like the like their Upham from Saving Private Ryan, just the young, fresh-faced dude.
Yeah. So he gets his old armies buddies together because he wants to rob 5 casinos.
Right.
In one night.
I like their whole reasoning is, the Army gave us these skills, so why not use them? It's just the flimsiest excuse.
I'm not quite. Okay, here. This is a stumbling point in both films with me. Is like, why?
Well, it makes sense in the remake. They're just career criminals. It's what they do.
Here, it's just like Peter Lawford doesn't need money. I mean, all he has to do is pick up the phone and call mom.
Yeah, it's never explicitly said, but I think even that kind of rankled him. The fact that he had to fall on Mother. He wanted money of his own. This is not the best way to do it. This is not the best
way to do it.
Call on Mother and get an investment for a business.
Danny Ocean seems to be fine.
Yeah, all of these cats, with the exception of dude who just got out of jail. With
the exception of Sammy Davis Jr., who is driving a freaking garbage truck.
Yeah, couldn't get in baseball.
And maybe Clem.
Yeah.
What is his name? I know the actor's name was Clem. Clem Harvey played Lewis Jackson, and for some reason they just can't understand his southern accent.
He's actually a cowboy from Utah. I looked this dude up, but I don't know if that drawl was like just how he talked, or if he kind of laid it on a little
thicker.
Yeah.
What I did notice is, did he act like a lot?
Not a lot. No, he had like 8 movies.
Because at least twice he stared directly into the camera. And I'm like, no. You're not going to redo that scene, sir?
So it's his second movie ever. First one, uncredited. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he doesn't have like a huge part here.
No. He's no one has huge parts outside of your big 3-4.
Lewis Jackson is a very small part. Mr. Roper plays Peter Reimer, who is also a small part. And in this version, I wasn't quite certain what each of the people, what their specialty was. This seems to be just all-around specialists. They all do a lot of things.
Yeah, like Sammy, I think, was definitely a specialist in explosions and demolition. Yeah. And I feel like Frank was probably the leader of their unit. Leader. And that's about as far as roles were concerned.
Right. And then everybody else, we're just going to rob places, so do stuff.
Yeah. It's very simple operations for the most part, so just do these things we tell you to do.
Your safe cracker, or your electrician. The electrician, it's not really the safe cracker, because I don't think they really crack the safes here. They open them electronically.
Yeah, they do it in the way they don't need to crack the safe.
Right, and that's Richard Conte, and he plays Tony Berghoff, who's just gotten out. He's the only one who's been in prison because he's just gotten out of prison.
Right.
And he's got the big casino.
He's got tell me, Doc, is it the big casino? I'm like, really? Who wrote that line?
Really? That has one extra syllable than cancer.
So I remember that line when I was rewatching it, and I said it at the same time he said it, and I immediately realized how dumb a line that sounds.
But is it cancer? Because
we never. I mean,
I don't think the doctor says anything, but he's ill.
He's ill. I mean, we see the X-ray. We're not sure what we're looking at on the X-rays.
I'm assuming it's the 1960s. They're all men. They're all smokers. It's lung cancer.
That was my first assumption. And it's still kind of my main assumption, but from him getting that diagnosis to what happens is an unspecified amount of time, but I thought like a week or 2.
Yeah, because
so unless that shit ate him up quick.
They plan this huge heist, 5 casinos.
Yeah.
In like a week and a half.
Yeah. And
their whole plan is to, 1, get to Las Vegas, and then several of them will get jobs. So one's in the catering, one is
Sammy Davis is doing trash.
Yeah. Dean Martin gets a paying gig on stage on New Year's Eve, and I'm like, well, what do you need the money for? You're living in Hawaii.
Just go to work.
You're living in Hawaii with young girls just hanging all over you, and now you just automatically get a headliner in
He's
Vegas.
doing all right for himself. Dean is doing all right for
And
himself.
how many times did we have to hear, ain't that a kick in the head?
Twice. Sorry, he had the rehearsal, and then he had the whole, the full thing.
So, yeah, I don't understand why they just don't get jobs.
The jobs don't pay millions.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I feel like it's Dean doing his stage show is probably a lot way less stressful than robbing a casino.
yeah.
Robbing a casino gives you no benefits.
And if you're able to get like stage on New Year's Eve at a big casino in Las Vegas,
You're gonna get
doing
paid.
fine.
You're gonna get paid well.
Doing fine. So, they get jobs inside the casino, and then the whole idea is that Sammy Davis Jr., who plays Josh, will blow up one of the power lines.
Yep.
And all of the lights will go out.
That's going to kill the
Vegas
power,
Strip.
which automatically
Opens the safes.
unlocks the safes.
Right, because they've had their electrician go in and rewire stuff.
Yep. Sound plan.
It's a solid plan.
Yeah.
It obviously is much easier to rob casinos in 1960.
Yeah, than it is in 2001.
All you have to do is turn the lights off and tell people not to light candles. There you go. Millions of dollars.
Sing.
Which is exactly what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I would be so bewildered. I'd be like, I guess.
They go in and they just point guns at people and say, give me the money. And then they walk out with it. But their hiccup comes when Peter Lawford's mom, who is marrying the Joker,
Yes.
Cesar Romero.
Who sounds a lot like Humphrey Bogart.
He did. Duke Santos. His name is Duke Santos. I'm
Santos.
assuming this dude was a career criminal.
Yeah, from what it's implied that he was a career criminal who eventually kind of went straight.
Right.
But still probably had a finger or two in some pies here and
Right.
there. Or at least kept his connections.
And I have to say, it's kind of nice that he obviously just loves Peter Lawford's mom and wants to marry her. It's not neither
nothing
one
weird,
of them.
nothing creepy.
Nothing weird, nothing creepy. Neither one of them need the money.
Right.
So it's just, yeah.
I mean, it's just the fifth time is the charm for his mom.
Yeah.
But she finally found the one, man.
One.
She finally found the one.
Too bad he's a hideous clown.
With the makeup over his mustache.
That mustache, man, he never shaved that.
Never say
mustache.
that. Nope.
So anyway, Peter Lawford's mom is marrying Duke Santos, and he lies to her and says he's going skiing.
Right.
But he is seen in Las Vegas by Frank Sinatra's side piece.
The one night fling.
Right, the one night fling that apparently has just like latched onto him.
Lots of flings from what we got.
And Danny is also married to B, who's Angie Dickinson. Who has left him because she's just tired of the gambling and the high life and
She's tired of Frank Sinatra's actual life.
Yeah, she's just tired of Frank Sinatra. And she has no plans on going back to him. Mm-hmm. Her when she talks with Dean Martin, she's like, well, when he comes down from the mountain and falls, then I'll be there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll come back to her. No. But anyway,
I love Angie Dickinson in her little part. She's like, look, here's the deal. I'm sticking to my guns.
Yeah.
I'm not coming crawling back to you.
Yeah. Which I kind of respected, but again, the character's just kind of
wasted.
It's kind of wasted.
That plot goes nowhere.
It goes absolutely nowhere. And then the whole Adele thing goes absolutely nowhere because she calls Angie Dickinson to try and cause trouble.
But doesn't she also drop the dime to Peter Lawford's mom?
Yeah, because she's like, no, I saw him, here.
So that's what she's good for.
Yeah,
that gets the whole thing kind of
snowballing. She's like, no, I saw him. What is his name? What I keep calling him Peter Lawford.
I think his name's just
Jimmy.
Peter Lawford.
It's
Jimmy. Yeah.
I saw Jimmy here. And so his mom like, I hope he didn't break anything.
And I think she assumes he came back for a fling with
somebody. And I think she actually says that.
Yeah.
Oh, a sweet little piece or something like that. Because women are just used in this movie horribly.
Yeah.
But anyway, the 5 casinos get together and they hire Duke Santos to find out who robbed them.
And I find it crazy that your whole heist goes down in the second act. And then everything else is the fallout of that business.
Right. And
the second half is Ocean's 12.
Yeah, basically. I never watched Ocean 12, so.
It's the fallout of Ocean's 11. He catches up with them one by one and says, You're going to give me my fucking money back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
So anyway, Duke, who still has his hands in different places, is making some phone calls and trying to find out who robbed these places, because this is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge deal to get robbed on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
With some of the biggest casinos.
And they searched airports and stuff, and nobody found the money, and it's because they threw it away. And there comes Sammy Davis Jr. with his little garbage truck and collecting all the trash. And I noticed there's a lot of lettuce. A lot of lettuce is thrown out.
a lot of romaine just tossed around.
Tossed out in the garbage cans.
And Duke is getting more and more frustrated because
nobody says,
no one knows what's up.
No one knows what happened. And then,
so if I'm to understand it, because they shut the comings and goings of Vegas down quick.
Right.
So my understanding that they did this con, tossed the money, and then just fucking lived there for
a couple of days. The whole idea was to just lay low for a couple of days, and then they split up the money and go their separate ways.
Right on.
Unfortunately, the night of the heist, their electrician crossing the street just drops dead.
Barzini dies, man.
He just it's like, bad luck. Always unlucky. Very unlucky for them in this case.
Very unlucky for them in this case.
But he drops dead. And here is Josh and Danny are like going over to the crowd that's crowded around this dead man.
Yeah.
It's like, people die in the street all the time, Danny. Let's go. I'm like, wow, what an ass.
Hey, look, man, but there's millions on the line. You got to be cold-hearted.
Did they say how much they're stealing here?
They never make a reference. They never put a money account on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Which in 1960 terms is a lot of money.
Yeah. They put a money amount on the remake, but they just say millions.
They just say millions. So, he drops dead in the street. Mm-hmm. They go into hiding. Josh picks up all the garbage cans. It's a really good thing that he had that specific run, and no homeless people in Las Vegas looked through the trash for romaine lettuce that night.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Just happened upon a bag of millions of dollars.
Don't tell anybody. We're going to buy more trash with this millions. You know how much lettuce we can buy with this money?
Buy my own shopping cart. I don't have to steal it. Yes. So they all get together and they pull their money, but they're still laying low because they know that Las Vegas is being searched and stuff.
Right.
And then Jimmy's mom lets Duke know that Jimmy is in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
With his army buddies.
His old army buddies from the 82nd Airborne. The unit my dad was in, by the way.
Including the guy that dropped dead in the street.
Yeah, that's where all the pieces click together.
Duke's like, oh, and I love his reaction because he's just like, oh my God. He's just laughing. He's like, well, I'm going to go talk to your son because he just robbed some casino.
Because I think immediately it clicked, I might be able to get a little something out of this. Yeah. So I feel like Cesar Romero just had a whale of a time.
Oh, yeah. And he seems to have a whale of a time in anything is in.
That's true.
I don't think he actually took acting all that seriously.
He's like, I'm just here to have fun, everybody. Just here to have fun.
So he goes to Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean, what is Dean Martin's name? Sam.
Yeah.
Danny and Sam, who are laying low, and he's like, yeah, I know what you guys did. What are you talking about?
No, I don't know. Hey, they dropped that facade real quick, too.
I know what you guys did. I want 50%. They're willing, the casinos are willing to pay me 30. I want 50, and I don't, you can keep the rest.
I don't rat.
Yeah.
So still leaves them with some millions, but their pie share is significantly reduced.
Yeah, significantly lower. So
which I guess is better than jail.
So they decide on a plan to hide the money in the casket of Tony.
Yes, because his wife is coming to pick up the body to get back to San Fran for a proper burial.
For a proper burial.
Yeah.
So they take out $10,000 to give to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that was his cut. Come on, guys.
Well, it's what they felt generous to give to her, which I like that they put that little bit in there. Like, it's for the wife and kid. And Frank's like, I should have thought of that.
Yeah, you should have thought of more than that.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Look at shitty life insurance this guy has.
His cut was 1.6. Let's give him 10,000.
We can split the rest. Hey, look. They knew that old buddy was taking half. They had to kind of
they had to rearrange.
Rejigger some numbers here.
So, but they were trying to get it out of Vegas. They actually agreed to the 50%, and I think that they probably would have gone through with it. Just it was just a matter of how much they were going to tell that they got.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they load everything into the casket.
Which, by the way, they lift that body to put everything. Wires just so obviously attached to the head and feet of that guy they lift up. Drop all the money in there.
And Cesar Romero has paid one of the morticians to tell him if anything weird happens.
Look, Cesar Romero's on top of the game from day one.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And the guy calls him up the next day and says the widow's here, but she's not, she's decided that she's going to take care of things here rather than pay money to transport the body back. And some Legionnaires have shown up.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're having the funeral here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I found this band for $10,000. This money band for a $10,000 bundle.
It was just weird, just chilling right by the casket.
Right next to the casket.
Did they have security cameras back in the 60s?
No.
Apparently not.
No. So Duke's like, oh, hell, now I know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So he goes to the funeral. All of the guys who are waiting for the body to be transported to, I think a train.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what was never specified to me or never made clear. How are they going to get to the actual body? Were they getting on the train?
I'm assuming they were going to fly to San Francisco and meet it.
That's a good possibility. I guess that makes a lot more sense.
So they're waiting for the body to leave and then they'll take off.
Right.
But the body doesn't leave. And they're like, well, let's go and find out what's going on.
Yeah, because they had one of the dudes was kind of eyeballing the
widow's
house.
here and she's not leaving. And now a bunch of people are showing up. So they all go to the funeral. Right. And I knew immediately the sound. I kept waiting. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop here because I knew exactly what the sound was when they walk into the room. And I'm like, okay, that's a crematorium. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, now they're gonna pretend that all the money's in the body. Mm-hmm. And then they're gonna hightail it out and they have it hidden somewhere else. But no.
Nope.
It is in the caskets.
Yep.
And they're all sitting there and one of them goes, what is that noise? And
some other guy was like, yeah,
they're cremating him. And they all just like, oh,
one by one by one by one. And then they don't really get a good focus on it, but you see Duke Santos is kind of leaning into here or there, and his whole face just drops and he sits back.
And then they just walk out.
Yep.
And then
bedraggled, haggard.
Kicking rocks.
I had a poster in my room of the Rat Pack, and it is that scene because you see it's like the sands, and it's like it's a good reveal as they pull back past the sands. You see their names on the marquee of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis with Pete Lawford and Joey Bishop. Oh, it's so sad. It is one of my favorite endings in movies.
I have to say, it was very satisfying. Mm-hmm. Because, and we'll get to the remake here in a moment, I don't like it when criminals get away with shit. Mm-hmm. I don't mind it so if somebody is evil, and you get away with stealing their shit.
Yeah.
But here, they're just robbing casinos.
Yeah.
There's no evil overlord of the casino.
There's no Mr. Casino out there,
right.
Mustache twirling like Snidely Whiplash.
They're just robbing people.
Yeah.
And casinos are an easy target because casinos basically rob you. But
still, you're still giving them your money. Right. It's not like they're out there jacking you.
These guys are all assholes, with the exception of like Josh. Josh is a decent dude.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other decent dudes, and I know that there's comedy laced through this. I'm using air quotes, comedy. Whenever
they terrorize our poor man who's the brains behind the whole operation.
Whenever the brains behind the operation is on the screen, I'm like, I know this should be funny. But it isn't.
That falls flat a lot.
It does.
A lot of their comedy with that guy.
It's very 1960s humor.
Yeah.
So when Dean Martin says he wants to go into politics so he can throw out the 14th and the 20th Amendment, take the vote away from women and make them all slaves, I was like...
Yep, that's a 60s script, all right.
Yeah.
That's a 60s script. And then so whoever counters that was like, you just buy the votes, and I'm like, no,
that's a 2020.
Yeah. No, you're on to it right there. There are some bits of humor that make me laugh, and there's some that just falls.
Yeah, it's very much a picture of its time.
Yes, very much a picture of its time. With a sweet, satisfying ending.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. So skip 40 years later.
I would say this is a movie that's ripe for a remake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually one that is very easily remade. Italian Job was another one that I thought, okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah, without Michael Caine just yelling at everybody on the screen. Because everything I've seen of young Michael Caine is him yelling at people.
That was his acting style. It's just yell. Just yell louder. So 2001.
Yeah.
Ocean's 11. This one stars George Clooney. They only keep one of the names, which is Danny Ocean.
I mean, yeah, you gotta have an Ocean.
You gotta have an Ocean for Ocean's 11.
Steve Ocean's 11. My grandpa tried this. My uncle tried this back in the day. Didn't quite work for him.
So here, Danny Ocean is the criminal. Actually, they're all criminals.
Yeah, they're all career criminals.
They're all career criminals, but he is just getting out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess every one of them. I know Livingston Dell was working with the police.
Okay.
But probably that was still just a side
But
hustle
still has a
for
side
him.
hacking job or something like that because he's their computer guy.
Yeah.
So George Clooney and Brad Pitt, Matt Damon shows up, Don Cheadle doing a horrible.
And I feel like they just leaned into the horribleness of it.
I don't know what he's trying to do. I know this man can fake an accent.
He's trying to do Cockney, but he's failing immensely.
Dick Van Dyke did better in Mary Poppins. Bernie Mac, and then the rest.
And then the rest. You got a Khan in there. You got an Affleck in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Casey Affleck. Yeah. And then
and Scott Connor brothers.
Is it what's his name? Oh, Scott Conn. Yeah.
Scott Thick Neck Conn.
Every time those two were on the screen, I just wanted to punch something because I hated their characters so much.
They're the annoying brothers.
They were very annoying brothers. But
also I've known brothers like that. It's very realistic, but I hate those people in real life.
I don't want to hang around those people.
Yeah, no.
So Danny gets out of jail, and he has this scheme to rob 3 casinos, all owned by the same dude.
More manageable.
Yeah, more manageable, but they're all owned by the same dude, Andy Garcia, who plays what's his
Terry Benedict.
Terry Benedict, yes.
Yeah.
And you think the reason is because he just doesn't like Terry Benedict, but no, it's because Terry Benedict
stole his wife.
Well, he didn't really steal her.
No, Danny went to jail.
Jenny went to jail. She divorced him and then moved on to another criminal.
Right. A more legit
She's
criminal.
got a pattern. She's got a type.
She knows her type. Her type is criminals.
Criminals.
Yeah.
Smooth talking criminals.
Yeah.
But he wants to rob these 3 casinos. He needs a team of, he thinks 10, but they decide on 11.
Yeah.
And here everybody has a very specific part. Don Cheadle is your explosives
dude. Yeah, the brothers are kind of like your utility
guys.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is second in command.
Your right-hand man.
Yeah, he's the Dean Martin character in this one, basically. They get a Chinese acrobat to be their inside the vault dude.
The grease man.
Yeah, the grease man, because they're going to actually smuggle him into the vault. This one, it's very convoluted because it's 2001, and at this point, you have cameras everywhere. You have
technology has
increased exponentially here, and so it's much more difficult to rob a casino.
Yeah, so you got to make things a little more convoluted,
right? And this is a very convoluted plan that I don't think would work.
Not even a little bit. I was thinking about this when I was watching the movie. They have Carl Reiner as like your front face.
Saul Bloom.
Saul Bloom.
What? Okay, so Saul Bloom has been in like every crime of the last century, obviously, because it's Carl Reiner. And of course, he's recognized immediately in the casino. Why would not Terry Benedict at that point go, give me the rundown on someone named Saul Bloom?
Right.
Because somebody just said this dude was Saul Bloom.
Right.
And I want to know who Saul Bloom is.
Yeah, who the fuck's Saul Bloom?
before you let him put stuff in your vault.
Like they're on their way to the vault, but still, I'd be like, let's take a little detour.
Or even, okay, it's in there. Do a
now
rundown.
Run the check.
Run a check. Okay, no, he's a criminal. Move it out.
Right.
So, yeah, to me, that was the point where I was like,
Carol's eyes rolled out of her head.
So Terry Benedict's an idiot.
Yeah. I think he's a fairly competent man, but that is the one.
That is the one slip up where I was just like,
it's a bit of a major slip up too.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the 911 calls are they hack the 911 calls.
Yeah,
so when they dial, because Carl Reiner fakes, he fakes a heart attack. You actually think he's going to be the one to die, but no.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little nod back to the.
Yeah, but he doesn't die. None of them die.
No.
Not even Elliot Gould. They all look like they're on death's door, but no.
Elliot Gould still kicking.
Yeah, Carl Reiner passed away just recently.
Recently, yeah.
That dude was like 98.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he lasted for quite some time.
I got to say, I know Mel Brooks is 95, but I will cry heavy tears when that man dies.
Yeah. That's going to be
it's a very long life, but I will cry.
I will watch Blazing Saddles of Young Frankenstein so many times.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so what they do is they smuggle, what's the Chinese guy's name?
Yin.
They just call him Yin.
It is the amazing Yin, I do believe is this
they
circus
smuggle
name.
him in a carrier.
Yeah.
Because Saul Bloom asks to put something very valuable into the main vault.
Yeah.
First off, casinos are not going to do this.
No.
They're not going to do this at all. They're going to tell you to go to a bank.
Yeah.
They're not, because you don't fuck with their money at all.
Yeah, I feel like Terry Benedict had a little bit of shadiness to himself.
Probably.
So it's a criminal doing a supposed criminal a favor.
And he was probably very curious as to what was in the briefcase and thought he might be able to take a look after the prize fight, because they center this not around New Year's Eve. They center this around a prize fight.
Yeah, Lennox Lewis was fighting that night.
Yeah.
A boxer was a big deal back in 2001. And also, it is heavily hinted at by Carl Reiner that you will be well compensated for your troubles.
Right.
Yeah.
So they smuggle Yen in a carrier.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where I was like, okay, once again, we have people getting jobs in casinos very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Mac's character is transferred.
Yeah.
Does Terry Benedict own the other casino that he was working at?
Well, I feel like I feel like that's the one that makes the most sense. It's like, all right, I've come with references.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so
that one kind of pans out.
One,
the brothers just randomly getting a job up in
getting a job in like catering.
That's just what the situation called for.
And they schedule them at the same time. I'm assuming they were there just off hours or whatever.
Yeah. Or they just manipulated the schedule.
Yeah. So yeah, this involves
many moving parts.
Yeah.
A Rube Goldberg like machine.
Where every piece has to fall in place perfectly.
Yeah.
And of course, the first thing is that Danny has to go confront his ex-wife, Ms. Julia Roberts, and make her aware of how cute he is, because he's George Clooney.
Yeah, look at my chin. I'm George Clooney. Look at salt and pepper hair.
So much more handsome than Andy Garcia, don't you think?
I feel like he just sat down and it's just smug smile.
Everybody in this film, smug.
Yeah.
Except for Don Cheadle, smug. Oi, smug.
You're a big smug. Yeah, there's a lot of
Barney.
smugness in there.
What? Then you're Barney?
Barney Rubble, trouble.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yes, Cockney slang still makes no sense to me. I once heard a pocket referred, I think it's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. They referred to a pocket as a skyrocket.
That doesn't even make sense.
Nope. Cockneys, man. We need to get one on the show to explain themselves. Speak for your people, please.
So he confronts his ex-wife, Tess. Wearing a beat cowboy.
It's the other guy from the first Ocean's 11 with the super heavy drawl. Well, I reckon I'll be in this movie too.
But his big plan is just to be seen by Terry Benedict so that he will have his goons take him away and beat him up.
Right.
So he can bypass his goons and hire his own goon to do. I don't know how that worked.
It's another one of those because that goon is in every single movie in a bit part. So I feel like that's part of Danny's ties to everything.
Wouldn't Terry Benedict hire the goon?
Yeah, that's the thing about it. I assume that either A...
But wouldn't this man have his own personal stash of goons? Wouldn't have to like go on the street and go, I need a goon?
I need the outside goon. Or maybe it was just he knew that maybe this was Terry Benedict's go-to goon for these things.
And Danny just happened to know him.
Either Danny just happened to know him already because that guy just looked like he was also a criminal. I mean, well, he's doing criminal shit, so.
Yeah.
Or they approached him and paid him off early.
Okay.
Or they said, hey, you can take a little stash of what we're going to do. You know what? No, they do know each other because Danny says, how's the wife?
Right, yeah, because they know each other. Yeah. I'm assuming they did time together at some point or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
But it to me, it was like, I don't understand why that man would be chosen to go beat up Danny.
Yeah, yeah.
But of course, he doesn't beat up Danny. He lets him into the air vents so he can go with Matt Damon to
finish out the rest of the of the business.
Yeah, to set the explosives on the door because their grand plan is once they get the money out of the vault. And this is another one where I'm like, why do they need money? Elliot Gould is living in this palace.
Well, Elliot Gould's not in it for the money. He's in it for the revenge.
Yeah, but still, he's got this palace. Danny Ocean seems to have enough money stashed that he can build a replica of the Bellagio vault.
Danny, I assume, is in it for no more, well, also for revenge, but definitely the thrill. Brad Pitt for the thrill. Don Cheadle because he just loves doing criminal shit. And the rest of them probably don't have all that kind of money. So
yeah, it to me, it's just like, again, why... Just lend your friends money, people. Don't go robbing casinos owned by gangsters.
We're going to go rob a Wells Fargo after this podcast. Carol's 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Carol's 2. We got 2 for the smallish cars. We can make off with about $300.
When I pull this up on Netflix, they have all of the oceans on there. It's like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Ocean's 13. I'm like, Ocean's 7 million. Everybody's in on the heist. The entire hotel is in on the heist. So you just walk in, it's like, is anybody here not in the heist?
No, guy's like, what? No, nothing.
Just go back to slot, sir.
It's funny you say that. In Ocean's 8, their mark ends up being in on it.
It's just...
Like she finds out that she is the mark, and then she turns around and joins them for something even bigger. For the most part, that's the big reveal of that movie. Spoilers if you've never seen Ocean's 8. And the amazing Yen is in that movie as well.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I think Elliot Gould, Yen, Carl Reiner are the 3 that pop up in that movie. Danny Ocean is dead by this point.
Oh, really?
I think it starts with her at Danny's very nice mausoleum.
Well, he has millions.
Yeah.
Or does he have millions? I don't know. I never watched the sequels to this movie because I was kind of meh about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously make off with the money.
Yeah.
2 is Andy Garcia tracking them down one by one, and most of these fools have blown their money.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's get me my money by this absurdly little window of time, or I've proven I can finally get to you. I'm sending the goons next, and they have to pull another con to recompensate back to Andy Garcia. And then 13 is Al Pacino fucking over Elliot Gould. So they fuck over Al Pacino back in the casinos again.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an excuse to get the gang together and shoot movies.
Basically. Yeah. Oddly, they didn't make another Rat Pack Ocean's 11. They didn't make Ocean's 12 there. That's weird.
I kind of wish that this group of guys had stayed together and made more movies together.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they did a little bit. Like, I think Clooney directs Confessions of the Dangerous Mind, which is a couple years later, and there's a little bit with Damon and Brad Pitt shows up for 2 seconds on screen. But yeah, I would have liked these guys to make more movies together.
So, but the heist goes off without much of a hit. Actually, with no hitch at all.
No hitch at all. It's it's slick.
Yeah,
you're awed by
they stage everything in their mock-up of the Bellagio vault.
That's a nice little bait and switch there.
Yeah, and they make off with the entire amount.
Yeah, Andy Garcia thinks he's calling in the SWAT people to see what's going
He's
on.
not. He's calling in Ocean's 11.
He's calling in Ocean's 11 dressed as SWATs with their visors down so you can't tell who they are. And what you think are bags of equipment that they bring in is actually the money they're taking out.
Right. And then they're replacing it all with flyers for hookers.
Flyers for hookers. Of course they are. Another way to just stick it to them. One more FU at the end there.
And then to top things off, Danny Ocean, who's released from his non-beating with
the big bruiser.
goon.
Yeah.
Tells him, I can find out who robbed you if you just give up Tess. And Terry's like, okay.
Yeah.
and they of course are showing Tess this because
because security camera
dumb,
right there.
And and here again, it's like, okay, this seems to be a competent woman. Why does she need either of these assholes?
That's also a good question. Yeah.
Why does
You're an art curator. Just go be an art curator.
go be an art curator in a museum?
Yeah.
But naturally she leaves Terry and runs back to her criminal.
Back to smug Danny.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a chance for one more smugness. I told you I knew what I was doing.
That's my husband. I was like, yeah.
Let the criminals win sometimes, Carol.
Yeah. And then you get the shot of them all looking at the fountain in front of the Bellagio and focus on each of them. It's like, here's your 11. Okay, 10, because George Clooney just got arrested. Sorry.
Breaking that parole violation.
Yeah, breaking parole, so we'll do like 6 months.
Nice little bit of music there, whatever.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah. And then they go their separate ways, and then Brad Pitt is waiting for George Clooney as he comes out of the prison.
Yeah. Some X amount of months later.
As is Tess.
Mm-hmm. Is also there. And the goons are also tracking him as well.
Yes.
Same two goons who were standing outside while Danny was not getting beat on.
Right. This is a very pretty remake.
Yeah, I think
Although nobody seems to pay electric bills in this world. Everything is very dingy and dark.
Really? You think so?
Most of the scenes at the beginning where they're getting back together, basically, it's like they're all sitting in dark bars.
Yeah, like Brad Pitt showing the celebrities how to play poker is very dimly lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
him talking to Bernie Mac is dimly lit.
Yeah, everything just seems to be dimly lit.
It's also 1 o'clock in the morning in a good bit of those places.
And it's, freaking stripper clubs. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of lighting.
Right.
Except for, like in the 60s version when they go to the burlesque show, that was like the most well-lit burlesque show ever. The girl with the snake.
Oh, yeah.
And then the guy's wife who was on next.
Hey, man, I understand your pain, sir. You can't take it. You only take so much.
I had to say, when that scene in the 60s version, when they went to the burlesque show, I'm like, burlesque. Well, it's nice that they gave those middle-aged dancers some time on screen. And speaking as a middle-aged woman, I'm like, well, that's sweet. Everybody's got their kink.
Representation matters, Carol. Ain't nothing wrong with a middle-aged woman.
No, there's not.
And that's what everybody in the crowd thought. That's why that woman's husband was a little salty. So the 2001, they end with them stealing all the money. Getting away with it, basically. Slickly directed by Soderbergh, yes. I think. Like, you can tell them both versions. They're just there to have some fun.
Yeah, it's not a deep movie.
No.
Neither one of them are very deep.
This, the remake is, everybody's got that, like, rainy day or you're homesick or whatever. You just lay on the couch and kind of veg out. That's what that movie is for me.
Yeah, it's not something that you have to... invest a whole lot of time or thinking in. Yeah. There are characters in the remake where, there's characters in both. I have to say, neither one of these movies are my real cup of tea. Uh-huh. Obviously, I never watched any of the sequels. Mm-hmm. I saw the 2001 version and went, huh, and had absolutely no interest in seeing anything else.
Yeah.
So, and I had never seen the original, mostly because I have this thing with Frank Sinatra.
Yes, you do.
And I think I said this when we did The Manchurian Candidate. Mm-hmm. He was a shit human being, and I have trouble separating.
Yes.
And I have the same problem with Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Spacey now.
Of course.
You're a shit human being, and I don't necessarily want to see you on screen.
I can understand that. I can understand
And
that.
I've never really been a huge fan of Frank Sinatra, even his voice. I was so happy that he didn't sing in the 1960s version, that they gave the songs to Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin.
Yeah.
Particularly Sammy Davis Jr., who I thought had a much better voice.
Well, Frank and Dean have said many times on record that Sam is the best and the most talented of us. So I'm pretty sure that they were more than happy to let him get his.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I've always admired parts of Frank, is that they refused to perform anywhere that didn't let Sam in.
Right. That in that respect, that was good.
With your money.
Of course, he treated the women in his life like shit.
Yes. Yes.
So, very much so. Very much like Danny Ocean treats the women in the original version.
Yeah, they're not far off from the people they actually are.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of acting.
They showed up, they hit their marks, they said their lines.
I think Dean Martin was drunk the entire time.
Okay.
Hey, babes, let's go back to my room.
That's that cut.
There's a moment where they're all like, well, what do we do in Las Vegas for a day and a half? And Dean Martin's like, well, I got an idea. It's a therapeutic idea. I'm like, he's talking hookers.
Yeah, that's exactly what he means.
And Frank's like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, yeah, he was definitely talking hookers and blow.
Yep. In case you're wondering it, that cements it.
And Shirley MacLaine shows up in there.
Where?
Shirley MacLaine was the drunk chick.
Oh, that's right. That almost threw the big
almost
wrench in.
threw, yeah, because she was just
New Year's drunk.
Friend
leaves her.
Her friend's like, I had to go meet my. He's a jerk. What do you leave him?
You know your way back to the room, right?
She drops her keys and then she has to kiss Dean Martin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, poor Shirley MacLaine. She probably got drunk off that kiss.
If that was take two, she was definitely drunk.
She was supposed to play that sober, and then she had like 3 kisses with Dean Martin, and they just make her
done
drunk.
and done.
So there's lots of bit people in the 60 version that was kind of nice. And there's lots of bit people in the 2001 version that's kind of nice.
One of the executive producers of this movie randomly pops up in all 3 of them. And I'm like, oh, I guess they're just giving out roles and lines.
Well, when you're book rolling the film, I want to be in front of the camera.
I get one speaking line.
M. Night Shyamalan, man. It's like,
pretty
no,
much.
I'm going to be in front of the camera too.
So if you had to make your choice, man, which one do you
here's the thing, because like I said, neither one of these are my cup of tea. I readily admit that the remake is probably the better film.
Okay.
Better made film. However, I much prefer the ending to the original.
Yeah, the ending is so sweet.
So I'm going to give the slight edge to the original.
All right, fair enough.
For the ending, because that ending is so sweet. I kept waiting, and then they were walking out, and I was like, are those credits? Holy shit, that's how they're ending this film.
It's a bold choice, man.
It was, because these guys were really big and they were really popular, and they don't win.
It's almost like if you got George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon and Don Cheadle all in a movie together, and they just absolutely failed.
Yeah. And that's what happens.
That's exactly what happens.
Millions of dollars up in smoke with their buddy who they just left in the fucking street. Serves you right.
Yeah, I while that ending is still one of my favorite endings in movies, I still got to go with the remake. I've seen that movie far more times than I care to admit. Didn't really need to watch it for this. Still watched it anyways because I have a blast.
I dislike the way the women are treated in both films. Mm-hmm. At least there's more women in the original.
In the original, yeah.
Here, just Jessica Roberts.
It's a guy's night movie.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And, they're pretty men to look at, I suppose.
They're pretty, most of them. Yeah, I don't know about the brothers. Livingston.
You keep the con in the Affleck.
Yeah, keep them back. Keep them back.
Even Matt Damon. I don't find Matt Damon attractive.
No. Although I will say, while they're the same people throughout 11, 12, and 13, there is like a underlying B-plot with his character that give him growth and development.
Well, that's good because here he's just he's the son of their buddy that died before the heist began.
Yeah, it's just the fresh-faced new kid.
Yeah.
And the second one, he kind of tries to improvise when things go wrong, and it fails horribly, and in the third one, when things go wrong, he really steps up and becomes a leader, and it's kind of nice to see a little background progression. But yeah, that's Oceans.
Yeah. So it's a slight edge. It's
Slight edge to the original one, huh?
Slight edge.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of even keel, but that ending, I was just like, oh man, that was ballsy.
It's a bold choice.
Yeah.
And I give them praise for it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever had if there was ever any talk of them pulling it off, or if that was always, this is the ending and we will stick to this ending.
I think that was probably the ending that they were.
Yeah, they always wanted to go
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Because that last shot is just so iconic with them just kind of
Just,
stupid crematorium.
I nearly had me a chauffeur and a block-long limousine. EO11.
What does that mean, EO11?
I'm still not sure why EO11. No idea.
I was trying to, is that Executive Order 11? Is he a Jedi?
Execute Executive Order 11. Burn all the money. What? You want us to do what, sir?
It was Josh behind it all.
Okay. I'm Googling that the EO11.
Because he was singing it, and I was like, what does that mean?
Okay. In the bedlam that is a typical Las Vegas casino, the 7 and 11 were often misheard. The OEE11 is the stickman's cry when an 11 comes up. So if 11 is rolled, I assume everything craps, he says OEE11.
Okay.
So no one mistakes him for saying 7.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
See, I'm not a gambler.
For craps, I'm not. No.
No, I'll do blackjack,
Yeah.
but
You ever been to Vegas?
no, I have never been to Vegas.
Neither
The
have I.
desert does not agree with me. I've been to
whole
Arizona
thing.
several times for the Arizona Renaissance Festival, and
Yeah.
that didn't agree with me.
Not
And that's
happening.
northern Arizona. So,
Yeah. This movie, the remake, one of the rare PG-13s to have 2 F-bombs in it.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that until this time I watched it.
I just naturally assumed it was rated R, but watching it today, I was like, there's no nudity in this or anything. So, but yeah, there's 2 F-bombs, and I was like, wow,
Yeah,
they snuck a second.
They snuck. I assume they snuck that second one because Yin's accent, kind of.
They probably didn't even recognize what the hell he was saying.
Yeah. Although it's his only line in English, so it's kind of focused on where the fuck you been. But maybe it comes far.
Okay, so what was the second one? F-bomb.
When they first approach Ruben, if I remember correctly, with the idea, and he's telling Danny and Rusty why they can't do it, and he's like, "What am I saying? You guys are professionals. Of course you can get the money out, but you got to remember you're still in the middle of the fucking desert."
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the kind of pull Elliot Gould has. He can get an additional.
He gets one free F-bomb. I'm Elliot Gould. He's got the taco meat chest there. Which I assume that's just how Elliot Gould showed up to the set.
I think so. That's probably his own wardrobe. They probably just like, I don't want to tell him to change. You just,
right out of the car onto the set.
You tell him to change. I'm not telling him to change. We'll just
Elliot
go with
Gould,
it.
yeah.
We'll go with it.
Like in my head, this character, that's just Elliot Gould to me. Also, that's just how George Clooney is to me.
Yeah, I don't think there's much acting in this one either.
No.
I think Khan and Affleck are probably like that in real life.
Just annoyed the shit out of the set the whole time.
George Clooney's just smarmy and
Just smug. And Brad Pitt just ate all of craft services.
Yes. Yeah, except for Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's probably the only one who's attempting to act
who had
and
the script
failing
ready.
because he's mushed the accent so badly.
I need to do some research on what he thought he was doing.
I don't know, but whenever his character talked, I was like, oh, make him stop. I love Don Cheadle, and I want him to stop talking.
Yeah, man. I feel like they were like, no, just go a little more overboard with it. Just go a little more overboard with it. We're going to make this a whole bit.
So did he give lessons to Brad Pitt for Snatch? Is that
Well, nobody knows what's happening in Snatch. Nobody knows what's happening with that whole thing. I Dags. So yeah, man, that's it. This is the last episode.
the last episode?
Yeah.
I'm sad.
Sorry, we went on a movie that was not your cup of tea.
It wasn't, but it was still fun, and
Yeah.
it wasn't horror. And I'm glad the last two movies we did were not horror.
You know, I want to go back and take a count of how. I guess we probably did like 20 some odd.
Yeah.
Closer to 30.
Yeah.
Some odd episodes. I want to know how many of those were horror.
Or horror.
Off the
Some
top.
of them are horror adjacent. I don't consider Diabolique a horror film. That's more thriller.
Okay, I'll give that to you.
Yeah, like Manchurian Candidate, I also don't consider.
No, it's a thriller. It's a thriller.
So yeah, we got some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, we got some good ones in
Yeah.
there. Of all these joints that we watched that you
gosh.
can recall off the top of your head, because I don't. Which one do you remember watching or rewatching? And be like, man, this is a really dope movie.
Oh, just a lot of them. The Fly. I think it was our second episode.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen The Fly, the Cronenberg Fly, in years and years. And I was watching it, and I'm doing something else while I'm watching, but that was one where I sat down. I started doing something else, but I just stopped and watched the film, and I was like, damn, this is still a really good film.
Yeah, it is.
So I think that one surprised me at how much I had really liked that film.
Did you see his son's movie, Possessor?
No, I have not seen that yet.
Wild shit.
Yeah,
the
I
best
heard.
way of putting it.
My roommate Mia, who's been on the show, was at Sundance, and she saw it at Sundance.
Yeah, that is I'm pretty sure somewhere in the credits it says dedicated to Carol Coles. Because that movie is some wild business. For me, I think it would be Body Snatchers, man.
That was another one where I was like, Jeff Goldblum.
Because I'd seen the 50s version, but I'd never seen the 80s version.
Yeah, and the remake is really good.
It's solid.
It's really,
solid.
really good.
And then I found out where the birth of that meme came from.
Yeah, you didn't know.
And I had no idea until the very end. And I was like, oh, shit. It's like a little surprise cherry on top of there.
Very early on our movies are, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had a really fun time.
I'm glad you did. When I whipped up the idea for this show, I was like, Carol Coles is the only person I want to do this show with me. There was nobody else on the list. So
I'm really happy that you did.
I'm glad you decided to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you all decided to listen to all these episodes as we wind this bad boy down. You got anything else you want to say?
Well, if you want to still hear my voice, I am actually I'm on Geek Radio Daily. I do movie reviews when I can see a movie. And then I do a Scream Queens survival manual for Geek Radio Daily as well, where I watch horror movies and I determine whether I would survive them.
All right, then.
So, yeah, you can go to geekradiodaily.com. And also Guardians of the Geekery, we'll get back to that at some point. We have been sidelined due to pandemic.
Yes, when the world rights itself.
When the world rights itself, the Guardians will be back. And you can hear me weekly on there.
Looking forward to that. A good podcast. Guardians of the Geekery, if Paprika was successful. That's what this is.
I don't know. I keep waiting to roll in that sweet, sweet podcasting dough.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it too. Been waiting for it too. Get this Patreon money and it goes all right back to this here studio.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. I think that's it for Refried Scenes. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank
whenever
you.
you came into this, hopefully you laughed as much as we did and you had a blast as much as we did. So go listen to more Carol. If you do nothing else, go listen to more Carol and take it easy and have a good one out there.